He refused the reward. He stood on his jetty until the last of the hoofbeats had gone into the fog, and then he did not go inside to his fire in his quiet. He stood in the cold and let the full size of what he had done come into him without a single brick of wall to stop it. He had betrayed her. He had stood in a doorway and been reasonable until the swords came. He was the gate. There was no softening it, and he did not try. And then, out of the very bottom of that, out of the place a man reaches only when he has done the worst thing he is capable of, and there is nothing decent left to lose, something cold and clear and final rose up in him. And it was not redemption, because there is no redemption for some things, but it was the next best thing the world allows, which is a reckoning. He could not save Maren. He knew that. She was bound on a saddle riding into the dark, and he was old, and the night was already lost. But the betrayal did not have to be the last thing. He went out that very night, not after the riders who were gone, but to the one neighbor he knew had once helped a man slip the coast, and he woke her, and he said, "I did a terrible thing tonight, and I am going to spend what is left of me undoing the kind of thing it was, and I need to know everything you know." And so it began. Bevan became, in the last years of his life, exactly the thing he had refused to be on the night it would have cost him least: a smuggler in the dark. He learned the names his old caution had spent 40 years not learning: the mill, the woman called Selved, the hill paths, the safe houses, the whole quiet web that moved the hunted across the strait under the Margrave's nose. And he gave it his boat, and his 40 years, and his perfect, unimpeachable cover, because who suspects the loyal old ferryman the marshal himself calls a good man? He ferried them across, the fugitives, the spoken against, the ones running from the same cold power that had taken his daughter and used his cowardice, 1 and 2 at a time, on the foggy nights, into the white where no rider could follow, and he asked them no questions and made of them wait. Never again. Not one, not ever. He could not row Maren back out of the dark, so he rode everyone else he could reach, for as long as they let him, and counted each one not as a payment against her. She was not a debt that could be paid, and he never once let himself pretend she was, but simply as the thing a man does when he's finally understood what side of the water he wants to die on. They caught him, in the end. Such men are always caught in the end. The cover holds until it doesn't, and one frightened passenger talks, or one marshal counts the foggy nights too carefully, and the loyal old ferryman is loyal old ferryman no longer, but a traitor on the Margrave's own strait, and there is only one ending the Margrave keeps for those. Bevan did not run, though they gave him the time to. He had done enough running for one life, in the deeper sense, and he found he did not want to do any more. They took him on his own jetty, where it had all turned, where a woman had once stood and begged him, and he had been the gate. He was not afraid, which surprised the men who came for him. He had met his death 1,000 times in the fog, and learned its face better than his own. And the strait gave him at the last, the thing it gives only to those who have earned the right to be met. The fog came up as they took him out onto the water, and in the deep middle a hurricane, and she was no alone. They were all there, in the white, the whole long line of the ones he had carried in his defiant final years, and among them somewhere, the woman with her bundle not sorrowing now, not recognizing him as the gate now, but simply there with the rest, with the unhunted dead looking at the old man being rowed out to die on his own water with something that was not forgiveness, because the gate cannot be forgiven, but was perhaps the thing that stands where forgiveness would if forgiveness were possible: acknowledgement. He had been the gate. He had also, after, with everything he had left, been the boat. The fog kept both, the way it kept everything, and gave him both back in his last crossing. The worst thing he had done, and the long, hard answer he had made to it, riding the white together, all the way out to the far shore that even the ferryman at the end had to be carried to by someone else.